It's good to be with you. In fact, it's great to be with you. We're live from Las Vegas celebrating 10 years of reInvent. And communication matters, especially if you're giving a talk. What does it take to be a great speaker? Let's go to Head of Event Content, Kelly Schultz, who's with Sarah Patton, Senior Technical Editor at AWS, and Blaine Sundred, Senior Global Public Speaking at AWS.
Thanks, Rudy. I'm here in the speaker ready room where all the last minute action is taking place. This is where every speaker will come to put the final touches on their presentation before we push it live to all of the session rooms throughout the campus. Behind me you can see that I have editors in this room, I have graphic designers, folks that are doing last minute tech checks, some speaker training. There's just all sorts of stuff going on here to make sure that we get our content right where we want it to be before our customers take it in. So before I talk with Sarah and Blaine today, I'm going to give you just a bit of background information about how we build our content. So first of all, we start all of this in January, and we look at your surveys and we look at the data that we get. What do you like? What don't you like? Do you want more 60-minute lecture style sessions? Do you want more interactive content? And we take all that data and we talk about it, and we try to determine what is going to be best for our customers and how can we give them what it is that they are looking for. So kind of a plug to make sure that you fill out your surveys because they matter. So when you go to sessions this week, please fill out your surveys. We look at that data and that's how we build our content. So Sarah, I'm going to go to you first. I know that once I decide and the team decides what kind of content we're going to build, we reach out to speakers, and then that comes to you, and you start building decks. And I know that you've been working on over 1,000 decks for months.
Yep.
Can you take me through that process? What does that look like, and how do we get here?
Yeah, sure thing. So as you said, once the content is decided in January, we start working with our speakers really in late spring, early summer, sometime around there, to build the titles and abstracts.
Yes.
And the titles and abstracts are where we start. We get those published in the session catalog around mid to late summer usually, is when we get it out for all of our attendees to take a look at.
Yep.
My team really helps work with the speakers to make sure that the titles and abstracts are clear, that they're capturing the most important and the most interesting information that those sessions are going to be covering, and that they capture the learning objectives for those attendees so that attendees know why they want to go to that session.
Right.
So we spend several months working on that. We get all of that content published in the session catalog, and then from there, the next step is that the speakers take all of their titles and abstracts that we've carefully worked with them, and they build their presentation decks. And so the presentations start coming in around early to mid-October, and so my team reviews all the several thousand presentation decks to make sure that those presentations are accessible to all of our attendees, to make sure that they're meeting the learning objectives that were covered in the titles and abstracts that were published in the session catalog, and really to make sure that they're exciting and engaging for our attendees. And then we come here into the speaker ready room where we have editors on staff who can sit with speakers and make sure that they can get any last minute changes or tweaks or adjustments they need to make to their presentations as the last baton pass before they go up on stage and present.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to note that we're doing this with internal AWS employees, but we're also really talking to customers and bringing them into building our content as well. So
Absolutely.
We want to tell those customer stories. We want our partners to be telling their stories, telling how they're using AWS products and services to build their business and move their business forward. So I think that's a unique position for us and something that we put a lot of energy into is
Yes.
how are we going to bring them into our content building?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I know that's part of what you guys are always talking about and thinking about, along with, diversity and how do we get different ways of thinking out there as well. So
Yep, absolutely.
really appreciate all the work that your team does. I know some of these decks are humongous. These are not just 10 slides that you're going to go through. These are really big decks.
Yeah, some of them are 120 slides, massive files. We have lots of work that goes into preparing these and making sure that they display well for all of our attendees in the session rooms.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Blaine.
Now, I'm not really a doctor. I just play one on TV.
Which we love, thank goodness. So we have this amazing content. It's been written, we feel great about it. Legals looked it over, all the things. But now we really want to take our message to the next level. How do you do that? How do you work with our speakers to do that?
Right, so I'm in charge of the presentation side. And it's important to know that whether you're watching reInvent virtually or you're here in person, that it's more than just the content. It's not just the written content, it's not just the slides, it's the human element. There's a presentation that completes the process.
Yes.
And so what I work with the speakers on is trying to get them to understand how do they communicate with the audience? How do we go beyond just the features, the functions, and get those stories told with the human element that completes the process?
That is so important, because I know, I was a former teacher, that if you are not giving your content out in a way that is compelling to the audience, it's just going over their head, it's not sinking in, they're not getting what they need in order to move forward. And we want this to be a high energy conference. This conference is all about education. This is all about getting our customers what they need. And if we're not doing that in a compelling and exciting way, then it's not going to land, right? They're not going to be able to take that content in.
Absolutely, Kelly. We need to be able to have that connection between the speaker and the audience.
Yeah. Well, this has been so great. I really appreciate your guys' time. I know that you have hundreds of decks and hundreds of speakers to still work with today. But we, again, are so excited about this opportunity to talk to our virtual audience, to kind of connect, the in-person program with the live from reInvent program. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll go ahead and send it back to you, Rudy, at the desk.
Thanks, Kelly. That was great. And looking forward to all these great sessions. And now we know all the prep work that makes it all happen. I'm Rudy Chetty. You're watching Live from reInvent.